morning, everyone. Sarah here at Three Little Potters, and I am so excited because I finally have the new Spectrum glazes. It's taken so long. They were released first in Canada and took their time coming to the US stores, but they are finally here. So this video is going to be a review of the new Spectrum sample set that has all of their new floating glazes in it. Um, yeah, ginger, fuzzy peach, bougainvillea, all these ones. Sunrise. I have been waiting so long. And I have been watching all of my favorite Canadian potters showing combos with these glazes, and I've been so jealous. So today I'm going to go through, I'm going to do a test of each of the 12. I'm going to do first the glaze by itself on a small dish, and then I'm going to do it over my Studio White glaze as well, because I only like to do one coat so that those glazes last a really long time. And then I'm also going to, if I have enough little dishes, I'm going to do a few of the new glazes over a black base coat so that we can see how they react in that way. So let's get glazing. So my first step is always to dip in my Studio White. So even if I know I'm brushing the glaze without the Studio White, I'll start with the Studio White dip so that then these have some time to dry before I'm painting on the layer of the Spectrum glaze. All right, now I've got to get glaze on all of these. So far the glaze seems like it's well mixed. It doesn't need any sort of, there's no chunks on the bottom. It seems like a good consistency. I'm starting things off with shallot. I think this is really going to be semi-hard to keep organized with this many different colors in one test video. Tiger's eye. Takes a bit to keep all these straight. And if anyone else out there is working with a very small space, this is actually my pottery wheel, and I just set boards across it to give myself another counter to work on. So I was waiting for the sample set to come, and I could see the larger sized containers of this glaze just selling so fast on Glaze Queen that even though I hadn't tried it yet, I decided to go ahead and place a second order to get a larger container of it because I was afraid if I didn't, I would miss out entirely. I don't know what the processing schedule is like at Spectrum Glazes, but I know that this sample set was advertised so long ago and it took so long to get here that I'm afraid there's going to be another significant delay. Yeah, so I didn't want to be left without ability to get more of this glaze if it truly is wonderful. Hopefully it is wonderful because I've already invested some more money in it. Almost done. It's taken forever to get through these, but just a few more coats to go. And if I forget later, Morning Mist, Bougainvillea, and Floating Turquoise. All right, now that I've organized these by color, let's go ahead and go through them. So what you're seeing here is the glaze by itself. This is shallot. So here you'll be able to see it with one coat and then two coats. And here is shallot over white, and that would be one brush coat over my studio white. So this glaze, I would say out of all of them, is very close to Autumn Purple. Bougainvillea, and there's some discrepancy on how we are pronouncing this, but I'm going with that. This is it. One coat here, two coats here. Showing texture pretty well here. I would say that the two coats on the new glazes seems a little thin, so they may want that three coats. Bougainvillea over white. Papaya surprised me at how concentrated and bright this is. This is definitely, when it's by itself, is a glaze I would use for layering, but not by itself. It's a very strong, heavily pigmented rusty orange for me by itself. Where it's thin, it goes a little bit browner. I do like it over white. I think that that's got a little bit more potential. Sorry for the green dot. A stray bit of Chun Seafoam. Sunrise is, this is Sunrise over white. And I was expecting Sunrise to be more of a direct competitor to Kimchi, and I would say that it's not. Just for reference here, this is Kimchi over white, and this is Sunrise over white. So a lot more peach in the formulation than Kimchi. Sunrise by itself. Again, one coat, two coats. So I definitely think it needs at least two when it's by itself. Okay, here we have Tiger's Eye. So I think that Tiger's Eye probably has the best coverage out of the new glazes. I liked this two coats, feels very strong to me. I think two coats is enough with Tiger's Eye. And I like that the sort of the floating section of this glaze turns so so variegated by itself. So this is without any other glaze to it. And I feel like Fuzzy Peach, it almost goes a little bit whiter. But here it's almost like a contrast of yellow blue. So this is Tiger's Eye over my white. And here we are down to Fuzzy Peach. I'm not seeing any major glaze flaws with any of these. Fuzzy Peach, you know, one coat, two coats, harder to see that differentiation there. Fuzzy Peach over white. I do like this pale color. So far in large containers, I have bought Tiger's Eye, Shallot, Bougainvillea, Sunrise, and I would consider some of these others. I would consider buying Fuzzy Peach. Okay, here we are, Ginger. So I've got these swapped. This is Ginger over white. Again, you know, I really was thinking that I was going to hate this color, so I put it on the cracked pot because I was sure it was going to be sort of a garbage color for me, but I do like this subtle tones in this ginger, and I feel like it might pair really well with some of these other ones. So this is Tapenade. 1 coat, 2 coats. And obviously the floating section is interesting there too. Sort of a gray floating to it. Tapenade over white. It looks very much like Sorcerer's Stone over white to me, so that's Coyote Sorcerer's Stone. So I feel like it's got some of that same formulation in it. I do prefer this over white by quite a bit. Louisiana Bayou. For some reason, I was expecting this to be bluer and not quite as dark, so that was a bit of a surprise for me. 1 coat, 2 coats, really showing those brush marks here. So I would watch your application on that one. Even showing a bit of those marks here. So this is the Louisiana Bayou over white. Morning Glory by itself here. It's almost doing that floating blue situation where we're almost getting a little bit of a pond scum green if we're not thick enough, if I'm not thick enough. So, you know, 2 coats, 1 coat, quite a difference in color if you go too thin on this glaze. Similar to how Arctic Blue by Amico behaves. Morning Glory over white. So this one was a surprise to me. I was expecting this to be a more intense blue. This is floating turquoise. I was really feeling like this was going to be brighter. And I don't know if it's my application that's in error here, or I was expecting this center portion to be 2 coats and a lot darker. So it clearly looks like I've only done 1 coat here, but floating turquoise, even where there's 2 coats, it's definitely not the glaze I was expecting. And again, really watch your brush strokes because that does show on the outside. Floating turquoise over white. And so this one is Spanish moss, and oddly enough, Spanish moss by itself has slightly crazed on B-Mix. I don't know how that's possible. I wouldn't think of this as a high expansion glaze, but apparently it must be. I definitely have craze lines here. So Spanish moss by itself was crazing, and here it is over white. And I was pretty surprised about Spanish moss. I was expecting this glaze to look green and was very surprised to find another light blue glaze in this lineup. So, all right, so my final thoughts on these Spectrum sample pack is that it is an excellent sample pack. I think that the glazes, once you get over the initial shock of some of them not looking quite like the sample provided, are really quite excellent. It's only a matter of like which ones am I going to buy and which ones am I going to keep stocked in my studio. You know, one of the other big questions going into this was how close is kimchi to sunrise? How close is sangria to some of these? And how close is shallot and autumn purple? So I don't think that any of these are a direct replacement for those 3. I would say that they're just in their own color palette. I definitely like all of these, but I think I will continue to buy kimchi and autumn purple. I know everybody's having trouble with sangria. I'm not having trouble with my sangria, so I'm going to probably keep using those, but add these in as well for the variation. I would say that autumn purple has a slight more hint of a darker purple than this, so I think shallot and autumn purple together would look really awesome. I do like that sort of ombre effect. I would say that the pink and bougainvillea is not quite as strong as sangria, and I would say that as far as sunrise goes, it's definitely more peachy than kimchi. you know, these are subtle differences, so I don't know if that's something that makes a difference to you. So they could be used in place of some of those other three glazes, but they are not exact duplicates, and you will be okay just adding those to your glaze collection. You know, I was really surprised by ginger. Like I said, I really thought that this was going to be a completely horrible glaze for me and that I would just throw it away. Um, I'm actually excited to layer ginger with a few other things. Uh, yeah, I think there's a place in glaze collections for very subtle, variegated glazes that match everybody's kitchen. And this is one of those that I feel like is an easy match to kitchen. So I wouldn't discount ginger. I would say my biggest disappointment in this group was floating turquoise. You know, there's a lot of turquoise glazes out there. This one, it does nothing, nothing new or interesting to me. The floating part of it didn't really float. It's just a light blue glaze. I could get the same effect with, you know, a Hansen clear with a little bit of blue stain. So floating turquoise I'm not going to be interested in. And Spanish moss, blue not green, and it crazed. So, so yeah, lots of wins here. I liked Louisiana biome more than I thought I would. I have a lot of blue glazes in that range, so that was a surprise for me. But yeah, Tiger's Eye I feel is the um, most unique out of this glaze palette. But you know, I don't own Curry and a few of those other ones, so um, maybe people can speak up if they do work with some of those other yellow glazes and how those perform for them. But yeah, I'm really excited to keep glazing with these and keep trying new combos. I hope this video helped you, and I would love it if you liked and subscribed to my channel. If I get enough subscribers, then I'm going to build a pottery studio, like a real one where people could come over and, you know, take classes or something. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.